Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The stars shimmered in the night sky, casting a gentle glow over the world below. High above, on the tallest mountain, nestled in the stellar temple, a young woman stood gazing up at the constellations. Ilara's heart pounded as she traced the lines of her favorite constellation, Orion, with her eyes. Its brilliance always gave her a sense of purpose, a connection she couldn't explain but felt deep within her soul. Tonight, that connection seemed even stronger, though laced with an unsettling energy. The ancient stone walls of the temple hummed with the power of star spirits, the ancient guardians that had watched over the world for millennia. Ilara, newly appointed as a star guardian, felt the weight of her title as if it were a physical burden pressing down on her shoulders. She had been chosen for her exceptional affinity with the stars, but tonight, doubt gnawed at her. Ilara, a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned to see Lyra, her mentor and one of the temple's most experienced guardians, approaching. Lyra's long silver hair cascaded down her back, and her deep blue eyes reflected the star's glow. "Something troubles you," Lyra said, stepping closer. "I can see it in your eyes." Ilara sighed, her gaze drifting back to the sky. "The stars, they feel different tonight. As if something dark is stirring within them." Lyra nodded, her expression growing serious. "You are not wrong. There is a disturbance, a darkness that has begun to seep into the celestial realms. We must remain vigilant." Just then, a deep vibration rippled through the temple, and the stars above flickered ominously. Ilara's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen the stars behave this way. Lyra placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Come. The High Guardian has called a council. We must learn what this means." The two women made their way through the temple's corridors, the ancient stone beneath their feet echoing with each step. When they reached the council chamber, the other guardians were already gathered. The room, usually filled with light from the enchanted star charts on the walls, felt dim, as if the stars themselves were hesitant to shine. The High Guardian, a stern man with graying hair and eyes that seemed to see into the soul, stood at the head of the room. His voice was heavy as he addressed the group. "Guardians, we face a grave threat. The sorcerer Zarek, who was long thought defeated, has returned. He seeks to corrupt the star spirits, to bend their power to his will and use it to conquer the world." Murmurs of concern spread through the room. Zarek was a name spoken only in whispers, a figure from ancient history who had once sought to control the stars. His defeat had been a tale passed down through generations, a cautionary story of the dangers of power unchecked. "How do we stop him?" one of the older guardians asked. The High Guardian's expression darkened. "We must act quickly. Zarek has already begun his work, corrupting the first of the star spirits. If he succeeds in controlling even one, the balance of the celestial realms will be shattered." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. The stars were more than just distant lights in the sky, they were living, sentient beings, the very essence of the world's magic. If they were to fall under Zarek's control, it would spell disaster for all. Lyra stepped forward. "We cannot let that happen. What is our course of action?" The High Guardian glanced around the room, his gaze settling on Ilara. "We need the younger guardians to step up. Ilara, you have a special connection to the stars. I believe you may be the key to stopping Zarek." Ilara's heart raced. The weight of his words settled heavily on her. She was barely past her initiation, and now the fate of the world was being placed in her hands. I don't know if I'm ready," she stammered, feeling the eyes of the council on her. Lyra placed a comforting hand on her arm. "You are ready, Ilara. You've trained for this your whole life." Elara met her mentor's gaze, searching for the confidence she couldn't seem to find within herself. But what if I fail? Lyra smiled softly. Trust in the stars. They chose you for a reason. The High Guardian cleared his throat, breaking the moment. Elara, you and a small group of guardians must travel to the star altars. There, you will need to gain the favor of the remaining uncorrupted star spirits. Only with their power can we hope to stand against Zarek. Elara nodded slowly, her mind racing. She had always dreamed of going to the star altars, sacred places where the veil between the physical and celestial worlds was thinnest. But now that the opportunity was here, it felt more like a nightmare than a dream. Lyra, ever the steadfast mentor, volunteered to accompany Elara. Along with them would be Aaron, a brilliant strategist and known for his quick thinking in dire situations, and Nia, a skilled healer whose gentle touch had saved many lives. Together, they would form a small but formidable team. The journey began at dawn, the first rays of sunlight piercing the sky as the group set off from the temple. The air was crisp and cool, but the tension between them was palpable. Each of them knew the stakes were higher than they had ever been before. As they traveled through forests and over mountains, Elara tried to shake off the nagging feeling of inadequacy. Every step they took brought them closer to Zarek's growing influence. Dark clouds loomed on the horizon, a sign of his corruption spreading across the land. Their first destination was the Altair altar, a place known for its connection to the element of air. The journey there was treacherous, with steep cliffs and swirling winds that threatened to knock them off course. But with Aaron's careful navigation and Nia's healing touch to soothe their weariness, they pressed on. When they reached the altar, they found it guarded by an ancient spirit in the form of a colossal eagle. Its eyes glowed with celestial light as it gazed down at them, testing their resolve. Why have you come? The eagle's voice boomed, echoing through the sky. Elara stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. We seek the power of the stars to stop Zarek. The balance of the world depends on it. The eagle narrowed its glowing eyes. Many have sought power, but few are worthy. You must prove yourselves. Without warning, the wind around them intensified, swirling into a cyclone that lifted the group off the ground. Elara's heart pounded as she struggled to stay upright, the winds whipping at her clothes and hair. Beside her, Aaron gritted his teeth, trying to maintain his composure. We can't fight this. Nia shouted over the roar of the wind. We have to trust each other. Elara closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind, searching for the stars' guidance. Slowly, she felt the winds begin to calm, as if the celestial forces were responding to her call. When she opened her eyes, the cyclone had dissipated, and the eagle watched them with approval. You have passed the test, it said. Take the power of Altair, and may it guide you on your journey. Elara felt a surge of energy as the spirit's power flowed into her. It was a strange sensation, like being filled with the very essence of the sky itself. She felt lighter, more connected to the stars than ever before, but their victory was short-lived. As they prepared to leave the altar, a dark shadow loomed over them. Creatures twisted by Zarek's corruption descended from the sky, their eyes glowing with malevolent energy. They found us. Aaron shouted, drawing his sword. Elara's heart raced as the creatures attacked. She had never faced anything like this before, beings born from the corrupted star energy, twisted and unnatural. They moved with an eerie grace, their limbs elongated and their movements fluid, as if they were made of shadow itself, but Elara didn't have time to dwell on their strange appearance. She summoned the power of Altair, sending a blast of wind to knock the creatures back. Beside her, Lyra fought with the precision and grace of a seasoned warrior, while Nia focused on keeping them healed. Aaron, ever the strategist, barked orders, guiding their movements and finding weaknesses in the creature's attacks. But despite their efforts, the battle was fierce, and they were outnumbered. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, Elara felt a surge of energy within her, stronger than before. The stars were watching, guiding her. She could feel their light in her veins, pushing her forward. With a final blast of celestial energy, Elara sent the creatures scattering, their forms dissolving into shadow as they were vanquished. The group stood panting in the aftermath, their bodies bruised and battered but alive. "We need to keep moving," Lyra said, her voice grim. "Zarek won't stop until he's taken everything." The journey to the next altar was fraught with more danger, as Zarek's influence continued to spread. The landscape grew darker, the skies more foreboding. As they neared the Sirius altar, the last uncorrupted source of power, when they arrived, Elara was hit with a vision of Zarek's past. She saw him as a guardian, standing where she now stood, once noble and full of hope. But over time, his desire for control grew, and he began to see the star spirits not as allies, but as tools to be bent to his will. In the vision, Zarek raised his hands to the sky, summoning the power of the stars. But instead of the harmonious energy Elara had come to know, the stars flickered and dimmed, their light twisted into something dark and dangerous. The vision ended as suddenly as it had begun, leaving Elara shaken. Zarek had once been like her, a guardian sworn to protect the balance of the stars. What had driven him to such madness? Before she could dwell on the thought, a new threat emerged. Kale, a fellow guardian, revealed his betrayal. He had been working with Zarek all along, believing that only by controlling the stars could humanity truly be free from their whims. His words sent a chill through the group, especially Aaron, who had always trusted Kale as a comrade. The ensuing battle was fierce, and Aaron was gravely injured in the fight. Nia did her best to heal him, but the wounds were deep, both physically and emotionally. Despite the betrayal, the group pressed on, their resolve stronger than ever. Elara knew that they were the only ones standing between Zarek and the complete corruption of the star spirits. The final battle took place in Zarek's stronghold, an ethereal palace suspended in the astral plane. The walls shimmered with dark energy, the very essence of the corrupted stars flowing through them. Zarek stood at the center, his once human form now twisted by the dark power he had sought to control. Elara and her companions fought with everything they had, but Zarek's power was overwhelming. He wielded the corrupted star energy like a weapon, bending it to his will and using it to strike down the guardians. Lyra was the first to fall, her body crumpling to the ground as Zarek's dark magic struck her. Nia screamed in anguish, rushing to her side, but there was nothing she could do. Elara felt her heart shatter, but she couldn't afford to let her grief overwhelm her. She had to finish this. Summoning the power of the uncorrupted stars, she faced Zarek alone. In that moment, Elara realized that the stars were not hers to control. They were living beings, with their own will and their own purpose. She didn't need to bend them to her will, she needed to trust them, just as they had trusted her. With that realization, Elara reached out, not with the intent to command, but with the intent to unite. The stars responded, their light filling her with a warmth and strength she had never known. The power of the stars surged through her, not as a weapon, but as an extension of her very soul. Zarek faltered, his dark magic flickering as Elara's light overwhelmed it. He screamed in fury, but it was too late. The corrupted star spirits, freed from his control, turned on him, their wrath swift and merciless. In the end, Zarek was consumed by the very power he had sought to control, his body disintegrating into nothingness as the stars reclaimed their rightful place in the heavens. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Lyra, Aaron, and many others had fallen in the fight to protect the stars. Elara stood at the center of the palace, the light of the stars surrounding her like a protective embrace, she had done it. The stars were safe. But the weight of her responsibility still lingered. She knew that this was only the beginning. The stars would always need protection, and she would always be their guardian. As she looked up at the night sky, the stars shining brighter than ever before, Elara smiled softly. She had found her place among the stars, and she knew that no matter what came next, she would always have their light to guide her.